Hey everyone, it's Alicia here to keep you in the loop on all things AMBY. Now today's video I'm super excited about because I'm finally posting my very first Q&A. I was honestly so overwhelmed and flattered by how many questions were sent my way through my social channels. So in today's video, I'm going to answer all of the questions that were sent through Instagram, at a music blog, at Alicia too, because there were some really interesting ones. But don't worry, if you submitted your questions on another social channel, whether Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, I'm going to be running another Q&A, so stay tuned for that in an upcoming In the Loop. Before getting to the A's, to your Q's, remember you can subscribe to AMBY, please comment on this video with any other questions you have for me, and give this video a like. Now, let's get to the answers. Alright, let's do this. I have all of your questions on the master AMBY phone, and I'm going to start things off with this one. Somebody asked, what's your favorite pizza topping? Now, since I'm running the show, I'm going to change this to toppings, because I take my pizza with pineapple, cheese, and pepperoni. Now, Kayla asked me, what made you want to start AMBY? Your blog is so inspiring. First off, thank you so much, Kayla. What made me want to start the website is I was kind of dork in high school that always had her headphones on, was wearing like a comic book or band tee, and just wanted to get out of school so I could run home and listen to brand new music. So what made me want to start my website is I would start writing reviews just for myself when I was wasting time in class or finished work early. And then my parents and aunt told me, why don't you just throw the stuff online? Why don't you see if something happens? And luckily something did, so that's kind of the long story short for how I started AMBY. Vincent asked, how old are you? I am 21 years old and my birthday is June 1st. For the next question, I really liked it. It came from Phil, and he asked me, the world is coming to an end, and you can see one last gig. Who would you see and where would you want them to perform? If the world was coming to an end, I feel like it would just be an amazing way to go out by seeing Kiss. Like, wouldn't that just be fantastic? I would want them to perform in my basement. We would have like a barbecue fam jam, like bunch of family and friends, and one of the best rock and roll bands in the world would perform. So Kiss, if you're watching, I would love for you to play my end of the world party, as long as with your platform shoes you could fit in the basement. The next question I got was somebody left the comment, pretty blunt and straightforward, but they said, will you marry me? As much as I appreciate the proposal, as I mentioned a couple questions back, I'm only 21, so I think I'm holding off on marriage for just a little bit longer. The next question I have is from Anika, and she asked me, how do you handle nerves meeting musicians you look up to / listen to on the reg? I love that, on the reg. I'm going to start implementing that into my daily lingo. So when I interview musicians on the reg or people that I really like, it is somewhat hard to compose your nerves because you're so excited and so looking forward to meeting them. But what you really have to tell yourself is you're just sitting down with the person. Whether or not they're playing to millions of people or if they're playing to a crowd of 100, like you are just interviewing a person. You're having a heart-to-heart conversation and you just have to keep that in the back of your mind. Sometimes it can be difficult when you have someone famous sitting in front of you, but they're just people. They have friends, families, wives, kids, some of them. A lot of them are just extremely normal. The next question is from Babies All Right. They asked me, which band / musician would you most like to interview, dead or alive? I thought about this one a lot before actually doing this Q&A. A lot of these I'm just kind of reading and then thinking up on the fly. But I thought about this one because I'm like, there are so many bands I love and would love to interview. But dead or alive, I would have to go with George Harrison. I absolutely love the Beatles. He is such a spiritual and heartfelt man. And I feel like just sitting down with him would be a beautiful experience. Plus, he's my favorite Beatle. The next question I have is, what is your fave interview that you did in the past? Love you lots. Thank you. I love you too. My favorite interview that I did in the past, oh my gosh, that is so difficult. This is such a difficult one because just for last year, as you might have seen in my past In the Loop, I interviewed over 400 bands. And when I think back to all the times that I've been running AMBY, which is like 3.5, 4 years full time now, I've interviewed over 2,500 bands. So putting it down to one is really hard. But if I had to choose one of my favorites, it would be interviewing Michael Starr from Steel Panther, because that band are an absolute hoot. Got to go to the back of the tour bus, sit down for a one-on-one with him, and it was off the cuff, hilarious, just one of the best experiences I've had chatting with somebody. The next question is from Jen, who I actually know. I love your work, Jen, so thanks for submitting a question. She said, been following you for a while now. You really are an inspiration to me. I've always been a photographer first and foremost, but I'm branching out into interviews, and your interviews really help me. What's your process like when preparing for an interview? So sometimes an interview can take me 30 minutes to do questions for, and sometimes it could take 5 hours. It really depends on who you're interviewing because it helps out when bands post on their socials a lot. They could be the biggest band in the world and you think they'd have so much stuff that you could ask, but maybe they haven't released a record in a while, or maybe they don't post on their socials a ton. So you really got to do your digging and know what you're talking about, because you don't want to be that person who sits down with the band and you're like, where'd you get your name from? When did you form? Because nobody wants to watch or have to go through that. So just put your all into every interview, whether you're pulling your hair out and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been looking up said band for 6 hours. Just put your all into it and the band will be able to tell. That's the best way to prep for an interview. Just stalk them. The next question comes from Mitch, and they asked, where would you like to expand to? Be in other countries / cities, music / scene / genres, or even other industries? A gaming blog. Yeah. That's a really cool question, and it's extremely timely right now because I have started to interview wrestlers. For many of you who know me, my 2 biggest passions are wrestling and music. And I found a way to make a music blog, join those 2 together beautifully. Music, you can talk to anyone about, whether you're an actor, musician, wrestler, no matter what, majority of people like music. So it's really cool now to have this new angle on the website where I can interview anybody, no matter who, no matter what they do, and just chat music and their other passions. So keep an eye out for those upcoming wrestling interviews. There's now a wrestling interviews playlist and tab on the website, and I'll also link to them right there. The next question comes from Will, and he asked, festival you'd most like to go to, and what would your dream 3 headliners be? Crazy question, because it's one that I can think of for forever. You can hear me stutter. Like, what do I say? If I were to do bands that I love now, I'll do newer bands rather than ones from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, because I can make like the most amazing old school headline festival ever. If I were to go to one festival, let's do that first. I'd love to go to Glastonbury. That festival just kicks total ass every single year. Plus, I have so many friends over there. It would just be amazing, just like chilling out, watching bands, hanging with buddies. As far as my dream headline trio, I'd have to go with, that's so hard. I'd have to go with Mystery Jets, Maximo Park, and Bombay Bicycle Club. The next question comes from British Invasion. Really like your handle. She asked, any advice for another young music journalist? I'm 17. I just started doing band interviews. You're definitely an inspiration of mine. Thank you so much for the kind words. It honestly means so much to hear stuff like that from especially young ladies. So thank you. When it comes to advice, what did I want to know when I first started, When I first started, it kind of goes back to the advice that I was giving to Jen. Just try to be really natural. Believe in yourself. I started and I had like no confidence at all. I used to hate public speaking, and now look what I'm doing for a living. Just have confidence in yourself and make sure that your work's good and authentic, because that'll hopefully take you places. Believe in yourself and do what you love. Just do it. Scratch what I said. Do what you love. That is like the main thing that you need to know. So the next question comes from Austin, and he asked, what's your perfect Sunday? And I love this question because I'm such a homebody. When it comes to my profession, I'm out almost every night interviewing bands and being late at shows. So if I don't have interviews on the weekends, which is also a rarity, I really like taking it easy. I like sleeping in till 8:30, going downstairs, seeing my family, having breakfast, catching up, preferably waffles with maybe some bacon, and if I'm lucky, I'll make some hash browns. I love that breakfast. And then I really just like taking it easy. Chilling in the basement on the couch, watching some really horrible horror films with my sister. You really got to embrace downtime when you don't have a lot of it. So that's really what I like doing, just taking it easy. Seeing my doggies, taking them for a walk. Yeah, pretty simple. The next question comes from Tom. Thank you for your question. It is, who was the first band / artist you interviewed, and how did it go? So the first band that I ever interviewed, if you go way back in the archives on our YouTube, you will see a 2Q video interview with Jack Stedman of Bombay Bicycle Club. They were playing Echo Beach in Toronto, and I tweeted them asking, hey, my sister drew a photo of Jack Stedman. Would you be able to sign it at Echo Beach? And they tweeted back, the lovely gents that they are, and they tweeted back saying, yeah, of course. So we went down, they signed the photo, and then after it was signed and chit-chatting a little bit, I said, hey, do you mind could we do like a 2Q interview, a 2-question interview? Like, what's a 2-question interview? I didn't know what I was doing. I was like 16, 17. And so we did it. Jack said yes, and we did a really quick interview. It wasn't horrible, but it's clearly not my best. It was the first time I was ever in front of a camera, first time conversing with someone in front of other people, yet alone posting it online. So that was the first thing I ever did. But the really cool part is it wasn't that bad of an interview because I kept in touch with them, and every time they came through town, I got to see them and just say hello and chit chat, and like before the gigs and stuff. And they're just one of the best bands to have ever existed. It sounds so cheesy saying that, but they're just such amazing people, and their music has got me through so much. So yeah, that interview was really cool. The next question comes from Elizabeth, and she asked, what is your favorite album? I was so stunned on this one because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of records. Like, what do I choose as my favorite album? So I thought about it so long and hard, and I still can't think of one. I still can't think of a favorite album. But if I had to choose one, like spur of the moment, right now, I would pick The First Days of Spring by Noah and the Whale. That record, oh my gosh. I love it instrumentally. Charlie Fink is one of the best lyricists ever of all time. It's just a beautiful album. Check it out. The next question, which I'm going to attempt this, which is Stu is the best. I'm guessing that's how you say the handle. Stu is the best. He asked, are you a fan of Nardwuar? Nardwuar is awesome. He's been able to craft something so extremely cool and inspirational. I don't know if any of you have watched it, but whether you want to be an interviewer, get into journalism, or you just want to succeed at what you love, check out his TED Talk, because he talks about breaking boundaries and nerves, and just so many insightful little tidbits are throughout the TED Talk. Like, I walked away from it with my mind blown. Like, I had a new look on my passion, a new look on how I wanted to approach things with my career. So check it out. I love Nardwuar. And he followed me. I think it was Twitter or Instagram. I was like, thanks for the follow, Nardwuar. And then he wrote back, do, 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 do. And of course, right? Like, do, do. I think those are enough questions and answers for today. I just want to say thanks again for sending in those questions on the Master AMBY phone. Just thank you so much for taking the time to actually think of things you wanted to know about me and the blog. And it's really cool. A lot of them weren't included, but a lot of people just DM'd me and were asking me stuff and just saying how inspirational AMBY is. And it's just so cool that a lot of you are trying to get into music or journalism or the crazy world that I'm living. Because I've inspired you in some way. Like, thank you so much. Just stay tuned for the next Q&A, because there were some really crazy questions I got on YouTube. So it's going to be really fun answering those. I hope you enjoyed learning more about me. And just remember to comment with any other questions that you have. Comment below, because I'd love to hear from you. And let me know what else you want to know about me and AMBY. Remember, you can subscribe to AMBY for all exclusive interviews, features, videos, and so much more. Comment on this video and give us a like. See you next time, guys.